Today on 7th Circle Gaming, we analyze Potionomics, and we'll get started with the full disclosure in just a second, and I will cordially invite you to pause the video now and read through all of these at your leisure, or if you prefer not to, let's jump right into the first screenshot, shall we? And the first one that we're going to share with you is the potion brewing screen. It's one of the three major portions of the game. The user interface here has a fair amount of complexity, but it is all explained and pretty clear and understandable after completing the tutorial. Not much else to say about this, so let's move on to the second major part of the game. And this is the customer-client interaction, where players will use cards that are part of their deck to increase the amount of potential interest from the customer and the amount of money that they can earn for each potion they're selling. This is a turn-based mode with about 3 or 4 cards per turn, and again, all of this is going to be explained in the tutorial, but for the most part, we found it functional and not much else to say about that. Moving right along to the third major part of the game, this is the overworld, for want of a better phrase, where players are going to be given other destinations that they can interact with. One of those is the ingredients shop, where they get their primary source of ingredients, and then the second one is the adventuring guild, which is another source of adding complexity to the game and potentially acquiring rare ingredients, rare reagents, to sell more expensive, more valuable potions. And with all that said, let's move right into Chapter 1 and start the proper analysis. First of all, immersion. Potionomics has earned a 4.5 out of 15. The primary source of immersion is going to be player agency, that being the players are given control over a wide variety of variables in the game. Almost anything is up for modification except for player appearance. The game is presented in a side-scrolling, almost a visual novel style, but there's not much really else to say about it. The relatability is there. It's kind of a medieval migration era fantasy world, which is not too atypical for other games many of us have played, but that really doesn't matter as much as the interaction portions of the game, or the interactable portions of the game do. So now let's talk about difficulty. And here, Potionomics has earned a 7.5 out of 15. There really is nothing negative or positive to speak of here. The game is fully controllable with a mouse and keyboard. It's fairly well explained by the tutorial, nothing overly complicated that players would have to remember. So nothing negative and nothing really positive. And that's going to bring us on to lasting appeal. Potionomics has a very simple to learn gameplay. It's a bit difficult to master, although players with some experience in sales may find it a little bit more obvious when things or new cards are earned and how they can be used, but the tutorial and paying attention to the user interface will give a pretty reasonable explanation of how to use those cards. Obviously, it's a case of small numbers bad, big numbers good. There are no mod support, and there is no DLC available at present, although this might change as the game gets further from release. The On the other hand, the game can be played for really as long as time permits, or as long as the player has patience for, so without wishing to apply negative labels, we could call it a casual game, but that's a bit too judgmental for this channel. So then we'll just move right along to overall score. Overall, Potionomics has earned a score of 5 out of 15. The game is simple to learn and difficult to master. It's playable for as long as the player has free time available. From all of our evaluation sessions, it does seem that some self-immersion may be required, meaning that the player has to sort of pull themselves into the game. The game isn't really going to do that for the player. It does start with a story, but that really doesn't play a major role that we've been able to see. So with that, that's all there is to say. From 7th Circle Gaming, if you've found this at all interesting or useful in making purchasing decisions, fantastic. Why don't you give the channel a subscribe and do all the other YouTube things. And once again, from 7th Circle Gaming, goodbye.